to provide an effective service for helping local authority sports and leisure trusts or leisure management commercial contractors to report performance of their indoor sports facilities accurately, compare their performance with national benchmarks, and utilise this performance information to improve their service delivery. When you first log in, you'll be guided to this information page, which introduces you to the platform, gives you several links to online training, explains the terms and conditions of using the platform, and gives you support contact details. On your home page, if you've already carried out a National Benchmarking Service report, you have a summary page which gives you details of your centre profile, the number of centres in the different family categories for different performance indicators, so you can see how many centres your benchmark is being compared against. So for example, here are the family groups and the number of sites in each of the KPI categories for each of those family groups. There's a summary box of the main strengths and weaknesses of your site based on your performance. There is also a summary of each of the 4 categories, for example, access, finance, utilisation and satisfaction, which shows your average scores compared with the national average. There's a performance summary box for each of the 4 key areas, a box where you can write your own comments and response, a graph showing your overall customer satisfaction score against the family group averages, a graph summarising your satisfaction importance matrix for key customer service elements. These are the scores for your site compared with the sector average scores. A box summarising your relative strengths and weaknesses. And finally, 2 tables which summarise your top 5 dissatisfiers for customers and your top 5 satisfiers. So that's the summary page. Under information, as well as the guidance page, we also have your account page. When you first set up MBS on the platform, this is where your details are submitted and kept. So for example, the leisure centre name, the operator region, your address, any past MPS reports are stored here and can be downloaded. There's a map showing geographically where you are. And then finally, there's a strategic priorities box where you can choose your own strategic priorities. There are 4 to choose from, and you can move these up and down to put them in order of ranking. And this affects how you can generate reports later on. Next on the menu, we have the data entry. So this is where you go to submit your financial survey. There's a guidance section that you can download to give you help in completing this survey, and it's divided up into different sections such as about your site, attendances, other general information, income and expenditure and resources. Wherever you're required to submit data, if you hover over the question, it will give you more information about the definition of the information, the data that you need to submit. Next, under data entry, we have an example of the user survey for MBS, which has now been moved online. So you can complete this using your own tablets and avoid the use of using paper, or we can provide tablets for you to use. And again, you can either use your own staff to do this, or we can provide trained and qualified researchers to come in and do the 300 samples for you. This survey has been changed somewhat compared to the previous one, with some additional questions being introduced and other questions being refined. Next, we have the reports and the analysis. So once you've completed either the efficiency or effectiveness report, or both of them, meaning that you've done a full report, this is where you then go to generate your own report information. So under reports, we have operational analysis, performance, and NBS impact. Under operational analysis, you can generate reports from either static or dynamic data. The static data is data based on previous year's NBS static benchmarks. The dynamic data is based on live information as it's been put in to the NBS platform. You can select one of 4 categories to look at, for example, access. You can then choose an indicator. You can also choose to compare yourself against sites which have got the same strategic objectives. Just press submit and it generates a report which gives you your figure compared to the national benchmarks within different family groups. So the percentage in the circle, such as this 50%, indicates the centre's position as a percentage of the sites in the family group. The graph shows where you stand with respect to the bottom, second and third quartile averages. And again, this is for all the different family groups. The numbers in the brackets indicates the number of sites which are being used to create that particular benchmark. Under performance, you can again choose dynamic or static, choose a category of KPI, and choose a particular family group that you want to look at. And again, it generates a report looking at all of the access indicators and showing where you sit, where your site sits in terms of the upper and the lower quartiles. It also gives you the top 5 average scoring sites so that you can compare yourself against those sites. Finally, under reports, we have NBS impact. This shows how well you're doing against bottom and top quartile average scores in terms of visits per square metre. Your score is shown in the middle. This bar shows the bottom quartile average score for access indicators. This is the top quartile average score, and it shows the difference between your score in terms of visits per square metre and the bottom and top quartile average scores. This one shows it for average access indicators against visits per square metre. This is average satisfaction against visits per square metre. The bottom 2 show income per square metre. So again, this is your score in the middle here, compared with the average access KPI score, bottom quartile average and top quartile average. So you can see how you do in terms of income per square metre against access KPI sites, or how you compare in terms of income per square metre when looking at satisfaction average scores and sites. Under analysis, we have customer insight. Again, you can choose between your dynamic and your static. Choose which family category you want to have a look at. So for this example, we're going to look at type of facility and mixed site with outdoor facilities. Choose a particular question and generate graphs which show what type of activity was your main activity at the facility day. That's your score compared with the average for mixed site with outdoor facilities or the sector as a whole. All of the graphs on the platform can be printed or downloaded into images. Under customer profile, you can see your own customer profile KPIs compared with the KPI profile of your catchment area. So for example, this KPI is around percentage of population that use you between 14 to 25 years. This gives you the figure for the percentage of population between 14 to 25 for your catchment area. So it allows you to see how your customer profile compares with your catchment area. Under satisfaction importance analysis, we have a satisfaction importance matrix which shows how satisfied customers are against how important different customer service elements are. In the middle we have what we call a regression line, which basically shows the midpoint. So if your score was here, you'd be scoring a satisfaction of 2 and an importance of 2. You can switch all of the different customer service elements on and off if you only want to have a look at one particular score. So for example, this is value for money of food and drink, which has a satisfaction score of 5 and an importance score of 5 as well. These are all your scores for satisfaction importance. These are the sector scores, the average sector scores, so you compare them against your own site. We then have a table which for all of the customer experience questions show you the importance mean or average of the leisure centre, the satisfaction mean or average of the leisure centre, the average gap between the two, and then compares them against the operator and the sector average gap. So if you can see if your gaps between satisfaction and importance are more or less than sector averages. Finally, under market estimates, we have an optional service which can be provided for an additional charge of £200, which gives you additional demographic and postcode data. We've also developed a discussion forum where you can exchange information and discuss your results with other sites that have undertaken MBS. Okay, so that completes this quick overview of the new National Benchmarking Service Insight platform. So if you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to contact us for further information. Thank you.